welcome back to part 2 of my interview with Emmanuel Amadiegu, aka my husband, and CEO of Imantech.com. In this video, Emmanuel will be going deeper into the business aspect and running a business and a home educating dad and how that plays out in our lives. So in the previous video, we went a bit, you were going more into detail about the transition from having a side. When we met, Emmanuel had he had a full-time job and a side business, and that when we met, he was a workaholic. So Emmanuel used to work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and then every other hour outside of, well, almost. Yeah, there were times, weren't there, where you, bless him, he'd come home, eat, and jump on the computer and work again. And I was like, oh no, is this your life? Like, what kind of life is this? And all Saturdays as well. Used to work all Saturdays, but not Sunday, because day of rest. Because even God had to rest. Yeah, he's always had a day of rest, haven't you? But I think I remember saying to him, but what about when we have children? Like, you're not going to have time for them because you're just working all the time. And I just, it wasn't a healthy way to live, was it? Because you'd come home as well sometimes and then be working and go to bed early hours of the morning, then wake up for work. Oh my gosh, looking back, I'm like, oh, how did you?
It was a crazy time, but it was like, as a bachelor before I got married, it was like, there's a pattern that I knew that was okay with me. As a bachelor, that was cool, right? Because you've got no dependence. I don't have any, I'm not committed to, I'm not about to get married anytime too soon. So it was a case of what I needed to do to just make the extra bit of cash with my side hustle. But then we got married and it was like, okay, I continue the same pattern. It's not like you break the pattern all of a sudden just because you married a beautiful lady. You don't break the pattern immediately. So it was just like her witnessing close up what I was doing, which prior to that, no dad, no mom who could be watching me and saying, hey, what are you doing? Why are you going from 9 to 5 and then going to running your business? But again, my desire was I needed to work to make the extra bit of cash, which is necessary, and recognizing, especially now as a married man, I have a responsibility. I have, a wife I have to care for. So it was just something like when she told me and said, look, Emmanuel, if you carry on this way, it's like when the kids come, how's this going to work? For me personally, it felt like a bit of a slap in the face. How can she be asking me? But this is what I'm used to. This is what I've been doing for some time, some years at least. But then also on the other hand, it was like, this is quite sobering, and it's someone who loves me and cares about me who's saying, consider this, Emmanuel. This is not right. This is not okay. And so that's when I started to pray and said, Lord, I don't understand how I'm going to make this transition from this kind of pattern, because I felt like, back in those days, I used to, have a number of clients who they always say, oh, I want that Imantech touch. I want that Imantech touch. There's an element of, a certain brand, a certain name that I was carrying for myself in that small circle of clients I had. And they kind of wanted that design excellence and that, stuff I was doing. But then I never realized that I could actually replicate that in other people by hiring other people. So that's when I started to pray about it and started to seek answers. That's when God was helping me to see that I need to learn to outsource and hire and hire someone who's great caliber, excellent caliber, even better than me, but just oversee the whole operations. And that's when, as I started to put that into motion, I found that, okay, though it's still a side hustle, I'm actually spending less time doing work, but earning more. I was like, this is pretty refreshing. It means that I don't have to be working all those times in the evenings I'll get back from work and I'm trying to go back and work again. It was more like, no, as long as I'm quite clear at briefing them, give over the work to them, and then carry on with my evening with my wife. And so that was our early days. And I'm just...
Do you think, looking back, because as you're talking, I feel like God was even in the midst of that, preparing you for now, because he saw that when we met, I think both of us was, I was anti-business because I didn't have good experience of business growing up, and some certain family members on my dad's side were actually quite anti-business. Had a very negative view. Oh, business is just for crooks and tax evaders. And then on the one hand, and then I saw another mishandling of business, and I just didn't. I didn't like the idea. I just thought it wasn't a safe avenue, and I didn't want that for my family. So then when I met Emmanuel and he's like, oh, I've got a business, I'm like, oh, great. Like, because I knew, he was the answer to my prayer, but that part was just like, oh Lord, I don't and I purposely got like a secure council job, 9 to 5 for myself, because I thought that was where there was safety. And now I see that business is like a ministry. It's like it's a gift. It's an anointing as well. But I didn't realize that at the time, and I hadn't heard too much about business from the church that we got saved in. It wasn't really spoken about. So, and then how it can be such a blessing and a gift. Done right, done God's way. So I think there was a journey, wasn't there? And Emmanuel's always had this entrepreneurial gifting, and I was always a bit put off, but I just trusted God that actually, even like before I became a Christian, I had a bad view of marriage. I didn't even want to get married. So when I became a Christian and saw, people can have good marriages, but I saw that the common denominator was God's, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to trust God. And same thing with the business. So, and now looking back, our journey even in that, maybe you should do a journey about business, our business adventures, because it hasn't always been easy. Oh my goodness, there were times when I remember what forced Emmanuel into full-time business. I was about 7 months pregnant. How was it? It was December, 7 or 8 months pregnant, and Emmanuel got made redundant literally that day. And he called me and he's like, I just need to tell you, with my big belly, and this was our youngest child, so Liberty, he's 5 now. So it's about 5 years ago, right? More than 5 years.
It was 1st November 2018.
Oh, there you go. So I was 7.
1st November 2018, I get this call from
you remember
boss,
so clearly.
And he's like, sorry man, it's not working out. I'm thinking, wife's about to have a baby in just a matter of months, and I'm getting fired instantly. It wasn't like 2 weeks notice or 1 month's notice, just instantly. But in my heart there was just peace, and that's what I was like, okay. And when he called me, and I was like, I can't believe how I'm not flustered, I'm not panicked, I'm not tearing my hair out. It's just like peace. And I know that must be a peace from God that passes all understanding, because it doesn't make sense. Your wife is about to be popping anytime in a few months, and you got 2 kids as well, who are quite young, and it's like, but you're not flustered. But I know that was a journey that, okay, I'm not saying it was rosy or clean cut or anything. It's just I knew that those were signals that God was showing me a sense of the direction is leading me. Yeah, because Emmanuel had been saying, I feel caged, and the way I described it was that, in different 9 to 5 settings I was in, I felt like no, there's just so much ideas and things that God has put inside of me. I want to learn this. And I want to not just learn, but implement. But then I found that it felt like when I put those ideas forward in a 9 to 5 setting, it would be like the boss I felt like an eagle who I'm made to soar. I'm supposed to be flying high, but then someone gets a canary cage and goes, stop. Just stop right there. Stop and just stay where you are. And it's like, I can't do this. I'll sabotage something if I carry on in this kind of
remember,
setting.
like, there was that one place where he was doing extra work and he made his salary for them.
Yeah. No, this is actually even besides my normal duties. So it's like I had my normal duties, these are my responsibilities, this is what they hired me for.
And he made
but then I created an extra business for them by doing some extra stuff that I had suggested to them and said, listen, we ought to be exploring this. I'll run it. And they said, okay, well, yeah, you run it. And something I was so gutted when it's like, okay, at the end of, let's say, 12 months, we're trying to calculate what have you made. They only give me like
10, 15. No, when
almost like 10. Maybe? No, it was 10%.
Was it 10?
No, 15%, but then it gets taxed.
Yeah. So
and I was thinking,
peanuts.
I made all these thousands for you.
Yeah.
And I'm only gonna get this little piece.
Extra.
But this is outside of my normal job description.
Yeah.
So I do my job, I get my salary, but this is the little piece of commission I get after all this. What I'm like, this is not okay.
And I think when that wasn't that job that he was made redundant from.
It's a different job, yeah.
So because he just got that again, there were on and offs, wasn't there? Going full time with your business because the old job wouldn't let him go part time. So then he got this other job, and when I was watching him, and the job he got made redundant from was quite a young company, but you know the boss was very entrepreneurial as well, and just a go-getter. And from sometimes it's easier for people watching than when you're in it. And I can't really help Emmanuel much in his business because it is a tech business, and I am honestly, guys, I'm so not techie. You know, he's my tech guy, but I said when he called me and the piece that he had, I actually had relief, and I was like, Emmanuel, I feel like now is the time to concentrate on your business because you're working for everyone else's visions and dreams, but who's going to work on yours? Because I saw since before we got married how God would use it as an avenue to bless and provide for us. Anytime there was a need, it seemed to always come. Yeah,
it's like God flowed through the business to give me opportunity to serve someone, and in serving someone, it will meet this bill. It will take care of this. Take care of this.
A lot of the times.
Besides even trying to buy our property where we were living in, our flat
even
we were living in. Yeah, even our wedding. So all those different things that, you know, it's like God made a way that through business, you know, an extra income was created, which you would not get in a 9 to 5, where 9 to 5 you had to just wait until end of the month before you can cash out.
So much you can
exactly
make.
There's only a cap. But again, one of the things that, you know, Sam touched on when she was saying that she had this kind of didn't really like business because of the experiences she saw. Unfortunately, it's like the normal media, Hollywood and such things have made business instead of it being something that's actually to be talked of in a positive light, is more of talked of in a negative light. You probably hear of, you know, superheroes and so on and so forth, and there's an element of always typecasting business people as they just have so much money and they're just greedy, you know, and such things like that. So it's just things that I knew that it wasn't. I knew that it was my lane. It was something that God has put in my heart. It just, the desire never waned. For many years, I always had this desire that I know that that business arena is really where I enjoy, I belong to. I want to serve people in that capacity. It's almost like nothing I don't come alive as much as I do as when we're talking about that arena. It's about business. So I knew that, okay, there's something clear that God has put a passion in here, and I'm called to serve in that arena. So it's something that obviously it was just great to just see how Sam was supporting me, even though she had all those experiences in her past that kind of weren't exactly the most positive.
I think what encouraged me is going along the journey with you and you learning about what is entrepreneurship biblically, like what is business from a biblical perspective, and seeing the blessing and the possibilities, and just knowing that, okay, so my lane, I believe, is to home educate our children right now, but I could see clearly your lane, God has put a business and entrepreneurship in you for to glorify him, and just understanding that is your calling, and watching you grow in it, because I believe that business is a lot about character.
That's right. Yeah.
And if you're faithful in the little, he will give you more. And I just want to touch on, can you just speak from, because in the last video we spoke about the responsibility, especially as a provider, and home education, which is not cheap, and we do choose to, our children do quite a lot of activities. We don't just stick to the free things, because we want them to have well-rounded education, in music lessons and activities that will strengthen their body and mind, and experiences, just new things. And also we have a curriculum that we follow, but thankfully my role in that does help pay a lot of that cost. I actually lead the community that we're part of, so that does cover a lot of our fees. So it's actually working out really well. It's quite, I call it private school on a budget. Like private school on a budget is like, because the standard is, it's a classical model, and there's a couple of places local to us. Not that far. One of them charges 20 something thousand pounds a year, the one in Chinkford. Wow. And there's one in Southend that is secondary that charges £35,000 for a classical education. So I'm saving you money, though. That's how I see it. So, but I thank God for this provision. This curriculum is, and it is the founder. She set it up, and she said, she's a Christian, and she wants it to be accessible to anyone. And so, but the other stuff is not cheap. And I think just having children in general is not cheap. Like the clothes, the food, you do activities. I think we would do activities even if they weren't home educated. They'll have after school activities and whatever. But I just want to speak. How can you talk about maybe the correlation between, because isn't it like God has really always been faithful to us, like every level, every child that has come, we've never begged bread, like it's like we've increased as the need has increased, God grown. Has met the need, like all the time. Like he's always he's really been faithful in because you've always, I don't know, grown in, and I think that's why I appreciate business now as well. And God has allowed me to see through you that I remember one day you saying to me, with a job you can only earn the amount that they is set. But with business, you can
remove the cap. It's unlimited. And that's precisely that element of growth. Sam speaks of character and forming a character inside of me, because I have to be the kind of person who's grown to a certain level to make a certain kind of money, right? And I love that. I love the fact that I can't remain the same Emmanuel as I was last year if I want to reach the goals of next year, right? I've got to read, I've got to study, I've got to maybe get a coach. And I need to do something different, invest in me so that I actually become a better version of myself. And that's what I love, the fact that in a 9 to 5 setting, for the most part, you won't be challenged to want to do that or desire to do that. Whereas, you're just comfortable. This is your pay grade. You just stay there, and you can stay there for the next 20 years, 15 years, whatever it might be. And as long as you do it day in, day out, they're cool with it. But for me, I'm like, I want to grow. I don't want to be the same Emmanuel as I was last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I definitely don't want to be that. I have a desire that I've got to grow. And because of that desire, it means that I'm having to venture and do certain things. That means I have to be a better version of myself. And that's the best way I feel as well, that it can impact our kids, right? Because if they see that, okay, mommy and daddy are bettering themselves, they're investing in themselves, they're growing, I've got to grow. That I want that to be something they see firsthand in us, that as we're growing, you need to invest in yourself too. So I think, just to touch on the aspect of the fact that, you know, I think you asked about business and the
correlate. So I suppose.
Oh yeah, the growth. How has financial things have
and
grown
also because some people may be thinking, well, and I know actually you've been asked this, like, how are you doing it?
Yeah,
having a business and provide, having a family of, there's 5 of us, you know. So maybe can you share how?
Okay, so first and foremost, as you know, probably touched on it previously. When we began homeschooling, it was just doing my 9 to 5 job and doing my side hustle, my business on the side. So, and like Sam said, what we were finding is that as soon as another child comes, some way, somehow, God just made a way that either I get a bit more of a slightly better increase in salary, or a bit more business opportunities. It just seems like there was just a growth that just kept on.
Or just the quality. I don't know, not even the quality, but I feel like the clientele that was coming through the business as well. He'd just get bigger contracts. And just
not so much working more, but better quality work, higher.
So to charge more.
I charged more. And therefore it means, okay, well, I don't have to take 20 of these jobs as much as I might take a fewer, but charge a very good, valuable price for them, which they appreciate. But that's what we kept finding, that there's a sense of growth.
It was just a natural. And now, especially, obviously, we're seeing. With, you just become VAT registered, which means.
It just means that obviously, the income has reached a certain threshold. That meant that you can't, you have to now start, charging VAT, collect money for the government,
which is a good sign.
It's a good sign. It's the right trajectory, and obviously not stopping there, but it just shows me.
It's not despising the day of small beginnings, because Emmanuel's business started literally making just flyers, like flyers for church. And
I remember I was at my parents' house, just literally learning Photoshop and doing Photoshop. I can't remember. It was
before we met.
It's probably in the early 2000s. 2006 was when I officially registered the business. So even before that,
that's nearly 20 years.
But even before that, I was already doing some little services and things to people.
Years. Oh my gosh.
But it just shows me that, okay, the desire to serve in that arena of business has never waned. So that's how I know that, okay, this is who I am, embrace who I am. God has put me on this earth to serve in this capacity, and I need to learn and grow.
But you definitely agree. When we met, Emmanuel wasn't as intentional. He was not really reading about studying, investing in himself.
I wasn't.
It was just, oh, okay, this is my side thing. And but he was definitely concentrating more on the 9 to 5 and someone else's thing. And there definitely was a mind shift. And I think looking back, it was God that forced him to do that. And funnily enough, using me, the anti-business one, to actually push you to do the business. And see, I think deep down, God knew I'd finally get there, because I was destined myself, I thought, because I would always say, I'm not an entrepreneur, but actually, guys, I am. Like actually I'm not. Well, I'm better at spending the money than making it.
Wonderful at spending the money.
I've got a degree
10 out of 10.
I've got a degree in that, but I'm a good encourager of people that want to do it. I'd be your coach.
100%.
Like,
the thing is, the Bible says, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord." I know for one thing that the way God has put Sam on my side has been an absolute blessing, because it's caused me to. I have to level up now and keep leveling up, and no longer be okay with this, knowing that my potential is way bigger. Emmanuel, keep growing. And it's not like Sam is my business coach, or she's just, there's something about, okay, there's needs.
I'm his cheerleader.
Yeah, she's my cheerleader, 100% number one cheerleader. There's things that she obviously encourages me on. There's things that she expresses needs. That the way I see the need is that, okay, to respond to that need requires some growth from me to meet that kind of need. 3 children, not easy to find a way to fund for their 1 million activities that they do, right? All of them.
Listen, guys, we just better have an Olympian in there somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. All that stuff they do, they better reward us back. But anyway, I'm just saying, it's an investment. It's worthwhile investment. Our kids are so precious. But it's just the fact that I'm grateful to God that because Sam is on my side, cheering me on, and I'm just paying attention, and I'm learning, okay, well, if she wasn't on my side, I probably would still be not outsourcing certain things, not quite get it, but because I'm responding to the needs, it's causing me to, okay, Manuel, you have to grow.
But while I'm listening to you, I'm just thinking of seek God first, and He'll give you the desires of your heart. And I think, to be honest, like looking back, because that's what we've been doing. That's since we met. You know, that was our scripture for our wedding. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He'll give you the desires of your heart. And you know, it'll, because when you delight in Him, He gives you the right desires, what He wants, and it's the best place to be is in His will. And you know, there's so many nuggets. So, like, I didn't know the Bible had so much stuff to say about money and business, and until Emmanuel started to study, and you know, God would lead him to certain ministries or people, and then I'm getting revelation that, and I suppose it goes hand in hand when I think about the paths that God has led, and he's still leading our family. We are very much becoming, you know, having a business. There's a sense of you're your own boss. You don't necessarily have to answer to someone but then you become you have to be the thinker,
the visionary, the strategist.
And if your children don't go to school, well, you have to fill yourself up. You're the visionary. Like you have to get the mind of God for your family and your life, because it's not, you know, it's easy to be told what to do, because then you don't have to really think. But when you are put in the position where you have to think, it's harder, but it's more rewarding. That is the place of rewards, because it pays off. You know, Proverbs 20. What is it?
Which one?
Gosh, let me get. It is the light of God to conceal a matter, and then you find the. Man, I'll put it. I'll put it up. But God gave us a brain and a mind, and He wants us to use them. And you can do hard things. Sometimes it hurts. I feel like I'm being challenged in so many ways, but I'm so grateful because I now can see I was just not meant to live a mundane life, an ordinary 9 to 5. No, I wasn't made for that. And I looking back even to childhood, I can see no, and I would never have been satisfied with that. And I wasn't, like, when I was in it, it was okay. I learned some things. It was a training grounds. It may be a lesson, but would I ever want to go back to that? No. Would you ever want to go back to work?
100%. No.
Once you've tasted freedom, you're not likely to want to be enslaved again, like, unless you're really, I don't know, not doing it right.
But I'll be honest, I want to tell that story about that experience with the company. I don't want to name. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to name the name. I don't want to name the name. Yeah. But I think it's an important story to just kind of tell as brief as I can, because reality is, my heart is, I want to provide for my wife. I want to provide for my kids. I want to make sure I meet the needs. Okay. So the fact that I kind of got used to working from home in my business, I wanted to see, okay, well, I need to supplement the income. Okay. Because the business, although it's growing, it's not growing fast enough, nor is it where I want it to be. It's still not where I want it to be, because I know there's just some changes and things I need to have in me, in here, to see some ramification, of it outwardly. But anyway, one of the things we came to an agreement is, perhaps I can get a job, something that I can just use, almost like do it from home.
There's the thing about owning your own business. Yeah. Sometimes you don't know what is gonna come in. Yeah. It's not regular enough.
Yeah, because it could be one time it's wonderful high, and it's like, okay, all right, this client has not paid up. Yeah. Right. And they promised they're gonna pay it up, but they got sick and they traveled, and it's like, okay, I don't like that inconsistency. Obviously, I'm still learning how I'm gonna fix that kind of inconsistency. But in business, you want a sense of stability. You want a sense of, okay, I can count on this amount coming in. So again, that was the whole purpose, that I wanted to stabilize things for my family, to make sure that there's a steady amount of income coming in while I'm running the business, while I still got a vision, not quite where I want to be, but still making sure that some income is coming in. So the whole idea was that get this job, which is going to be mostly home-based, or pretty much solely home-based, and still allow me to run my business on the side. That was the whole intention. So in fact, with that business, I literally started off first week. It was a marketing agency, and I was having a good time there. They were training me up, and they said that the whole idea was to give me a pathway of training that will help me to support the other people better. And so what happened? Week 1, hey, I'm having a good time. The colleagues and everyone who was training me up was saying, man, you're doing really well. You're enjoying what you're doing, and we can see it. I said, great, and I am. It's week 2. I'm having such a good time helping people, and they're like, look, man, you're sailing. You're like, wow, you're like a duck to the water. You've really taken this quite well.
And I just don't get too comfortable.
I know, she's reminding me not to get too comfortable. But again,
your destination.
I just kept doing my best. Yeah. Like where I'm going to go, I'm going to serve really well. So third week, even the senior manager who had hired me was hearing some good stuff about me, and they heard that, I think I heard it was like maybe like the third week or something like that, someone had just left. Someone had just literally resigned, who was a slightly higher position than me. And they said, look, Emmanuel, the way you're going, the way you're really picking up this so quickly, that my direct manager told me, said, look, I shouldn't really be saying this to you, right? It's just between us two, but it's just that because of the way you're taking this and training so well and actually giving value almost immediately, whereas it takes people almost 3-4 months of getting used to the systems and getting their head around certain things, but you're on it and it's only been like the third week versus third month, we would actually look to fast track you so maybe you can fill that position. I'm thinking, wow, this is nice and positive. This is only 3 weeks into it. I'm still having a good time. And then the fourth week, I get a call. Exactly 4 weeks of working for the company. I get a call from the senior management and he says, Emmanuel, I need a meeting with you like today. Just to summarize what I was saying just then, calls me, we have a chat and he's saying, look, Emmanuel, every time we look, the senior people, even more senior, are they're checking your names, doing the normal probationary stuff, and they find you everywhere. And unfortunately, we're giving you 2 options, ultimatum, and we have to have an answer within 24 hours. You either stay with us.
Oh, sorry, you didn't say what did they find? You was an axe murderer.
Not quite. I wasn't an axe murderer.
What did they find?
But no, they were just finding that, okay, that my business that I was running was actually in a conflict of interest with their business. I had a marketing agency and they had a marketing agency. They're doing quite well. I'm just up and coming. And there's an element of, well, you can't keep on doing that. So they gave me an ultimatum and said, look, it's either, they said, firstly, you've been doing so well, performing so well. And in fact, we'd like to look to fast track you into, promotion because we've seen your potential and we feel really lucky to have you. However, your choice is simple. You either stay with us, which we absolutely would love, right? But you have to close down your business completely, dissolve it, strike off, company's house, all those things, nothing else to do with Emantech Limited anymore. Versus, I can keep the business, but we have to part ways. Can you guess which one I took? I said, okay, give me 24 hours to consider this. Spoke to my wife, obviously.
24 seconds.
24 seconds, more like, no, that was not an option. It's something that I just simply made it clear to them, look, I've enjoyed working here, but there's absolutely no way I can actually close the business. And really what it helped me to see is that one, it's like, God is into this, but the enemy will present to you options that will make you want to just close things in its infancy. Here I am trying to rebuild a business and really grow it. And that's when they will give me an option to say, listen, stick with us, close your business that has huge potential and just stick with us. And all I can say is, if you are someone who you feel called to the business, the marketplace, God has exciting stuff for you if you'll stick with him and not actually try and just go back to a 9-to-5 setting, because a 9-to-5 setting will always bring a cap. There's only so much you can make, but business is not necessarily easy. It's not for the faint-hearted, but you can learn and you can grow. You can become much more if you learn to do it well. I am not where I want to be. I'm not saying I'm all made. I'm still on my journey. I'm still growing. I'm still learning every single day. I'm still willing. 10 years from now, I'm still going to be learning, but there's an element of, I see the growth, I see the potential even more now than I did before. So I'm just really encouraging anyone who is, your dad. I know you have a lot on your shoulder. You have perhaps, you have mouths to feed, and there's that pressure there. I feel the pressure, but I also understand that God is with me, and I'm learning not to be anxious for anything, but also to look at what are the answers. God, how can I find an answer in this? How can I serve people in this way that will actually bless them, bring value to them, and in return, finances are brought to our family. So, so that's really what I wanted to just encourage you with. If you're watching out there,
can you just elaborate when you say provide a service that what? Can you just explain what that means in business? Breaking it down into its simplest term, business is just
business. Really is just serving, right? Is there are things people don't want to do or don't like to do, don't have the skill or the ability to do. you just need to find a way to just serve them in that capacity, and they'll pay you for it. Just like most people, you know, on a hot summer day will probably rather have, you know, an ice cream man, okay, as an example, provide ice cream to your street rather than you go into Aldi or Waitrose, wherever it might be where you live, and queue up and buy ice cream and come back. Well, someone's bringing ice cream to you. You might pay a little bit more of a premium, but that's a service. But ultimately, the idea is you providing some kind of value to someone. It could be mowing their lawn. It could be something as creating a website or finding a way to actually find a business leads for them. These are different things that people either don't have the skill or the time to be able to do, or the expertise, and we are all called to just serve each other one way or the other. And so and that's typically what we're looking at, is just that exchange of service. You exchange a valuable service and someone says, hey, I'll pay you for that. And yeah.
And before we close off, I just want to say that I think I love the most about our journey is like all of us are still learning and growing, and in our household, you know, where we all have a love of learning, and we've not arrived. And Emmanuel and I, we want to be a good example I like is your mum. Like, she's in her 70s, but she's still, you know, she'll say, I can even learn from my grandkids, and she's still taking courses, and she's still learning things. And, you know, we want to continue to strive for that. And business is just another place that has a language, that has systems, that you know. And I would just say, as an observer of Emmanuel's journey, that having a coach is just such. If you're in business and you don't have a coach, you're going to get there a lot slower. You know, if get a good coach, pray about a good business coach, and just in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. And also, you're inspired by the people you're around. So pray about your, you know, who's around you and who's inspiring you, who's speaking into your life. You know, good godly, integral people that know God and His word, and, you know, let God just take the life that He gave you and do the best with it. And I think that's just what part of this is about, just to encourage you that if God is calling you to places of uncertainty, because when He called us, you know, to home ed, it was uncertainty, or business, it was uncertainty. You know, no, we didn't see how it was all going to play out, but we just knew, okay, God has called us to do this, so we're going to go in faith, and that's it. Be faithful with the little, and He can give you the more. And be diligent, and just keep on just putting Him first, knowing Him first, and He will direct your path. He will be faithful to that which He's called you to. And, you know, we're both, okay, the mandate was on me to home ed, the mandate was on Emmanuel to do business, but we're both in each other's worlds.
Absolutely. Within
that, because we are, you know, as a married couple, we're one. So we're both, you know, I hope you feel blessed by me in your business. And He's taught me a lot, and He's actually inspired me a lot. And it does show me it's important who you surround yourself with, because God has used Emmanuel's example in life to change my mind about business a lot. And I'm grateful for that, because business is not evil. The love of money is the root of evil, but not money. Money is not the root of all. Money is, we need money to be a blessing, for the kingdom to grow, and that is not evil. But the
money gives you
love
options.
of
Money gives you options as to, you know, what you can do. I mean, I'd rather be the answer to someone's prayer. You know, someone's been praying for this, and hey, God has given me the resource that I can be on that end of giving, or on that end of, you know, having influence for good. There are people who have a lot of finances, but it's for evil. It's not actually, doesn't glorify God, but how much more so people who are in God's kingdom? Should we be those who are saying, God, what do you want me to do? Use me as an instrument to do it. And that's important for me, because it's important for me to become that man that hears God, is directed by God, and actually is an instrument God can use. And so, yeah, how much more can I do that in a business setting than any other kind of setting, really? Yeah, just cause him to shine.
Yeah, so whatever path God has you on, just, you know, God bless you, and just know him and make him known. But God bless. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any tips, ideas, thoughts, questions, please put them in the comments, chat, and then we can start a chat. But
yeah, you read through all of them, right? And you respond to it. Yeah,
I do. Yeah, I appreciate you, and see you in the next. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.